Aloha, everybody. Aloha Friday, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live with Mel and Charlie. Tonight, a special edition. We have the District 15 State House of Representatives Candidate Forum, the second in a
Yes.
series of three. We did District 14 on Wednesday night. We'll do District
hmm
15 tonight with incumbent Representative Jimmy Tokioka and challenger Steve Yoder. And then tomorrow night, we'll have District 16, Representative incumbent D. Morikawa and challenger Anna Modez. So I know a lot of you guys got your ballots. Many of us already have received our ballots. Some of you have already voted. But use tonight as some information gathering on the candidates. And we're going to ask if you were with us on Wednesday night, it'll be the exact same format. We'll ask the questions and they will each have an opportunity to answer. And it'll be nice. It'll be good, Charlie. It'll be
Yep.
educational, that's for sure. I'm
Yep.
very
Sure.
happy that all the candidates responded. All six of the candidates in the three districts responded to participate because we didn't really have forums. I don't recall any forums that were done for the state house race at all
hmm
by anyone. So this is the one shot you got. Primary election is coming right around the corner. So I hope you will find value. And look, I already forgot to. I already found. I hope you guys find value in this and help make your decision on who you're going to vote for. So
Also, like to say
anything.
aloha to all of the viewers tonight. I see we have our Senator Ron Kochi is watching. Also, we'd like to say aloha to John Shirai from Oahu and many others that'll be tuning in. That's been tuning in now. Thank you so much. It's going to be an interesting evening. And again, some people have asked us, oh, why don't you let them debate, with each other? Our whole premise is to get them in front of all of you, have them respond to the same questions, and you folks compare. Because sometimes debating one another may take a little longer than we anticipate, and sometimes I feel it just doesn't, succeed the way it should go, and therefore I want you to, make an educational choice. You get to listen to them both, and you can compare. You can see how, now like the last one we had, District 14. Mel was right. I can't vote for them because I'm in District 16. So, but it's still interesting to listen to what they have to offer, and you can tell, if they're up on the recent or the latest in the legislature, you'll be able to tell, and that's good.
Senator Kochi just brought up a very good point, which I should have known. I should have announced. But tonight is really this primary election is really the general election for these candidates because there's only one Democrat and one Republican running in each of the races. So whoever wins in the primary is the victor, and they will move on and into the legislature at the end of the year. So thank you, Senator Kochi, for bringing that up. It is a general election for these people. So it will be very, very interesting to see how this thing turns out.
Yes.
But
And on a
anyway,
side note,
go ahead.
on a side note, we have some people still concerned that they did not see any checkpoints today at the airport. We don't know why, but we will find out what happened. Maybe there's something special planned, or they moved it more towards the interior. But nevertheless, we don't have the answers right now. But we'll find out what happened.
Well, I actually did find out they moved it into the terminal. They moved all of those air guard people the Army Guard people into the terminal now, and they're gonna tighten up the security in the terminal. They're obviously, as we have been discussing, in the last few weeks that there have been some pukas in the system. There have been some loopholes that people are using to get around. I understand as our law enforcement officers were making checks at people that were in quarantine. They saw rental cars in the yards. So the checkpoint outside of the airport was now basically moved inside. So we haven't lost
A
any
checkpoint.
level of security, but they were just moved to inside the terminal to tighten it up in there. So I think it's a good call. And yeah, Senator Kochi again said there will be a general election, but for all intents and purposes, the primary election will more than likely be the
And
final.
tonight we are covering District 15. There's a person, and of course, Senator Kochi, who's part of our remote affiliate team, answered for us. He's on the move. He's moving around in the neighborhood. So if he knocks on your door and does a live feed, that's Senator Kochi. I also like to say too, because Senator Kochi did run unopposed, it is still appreciated when the ballots come out. You'll see his name on there, even though he's running unopposed. To please check off if you find the heart to just check it off.
Well, he needs to have one vote. He got to have one vote, or he is not going to move on. That's just the way it works. So,
so just
Senator Kochi, I hope you voted. Anyway, so we're going to bring these two gentlemen in, and we're going to go over the format, so we can get a 7 o'clock departure, on-time departure. Okay,
Here he is.
one of them.
Here I am, one of them.
You're the famous Charles Iona, huh?
Yes, I am, sir. How are you?
Iona or Iona?
Yeah, it's Iona. Iona is like the former lieutenant governor.
Duke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you. Mel, it's good to see you again.
Same here, my friend, and thank you for joining us tonight. I know Jimmy was in the waiting room, and I don't know what happened. I don't know where he went.
He'll show up.
So I'm going to wait for him to show up, and then we'll go over the format.
So Charles, how long are you living on Kauai now, or?
Yes. I've been living out on the west side in Waimea since 2007. 2007.
And you're in the police force over on the Big Island, right?
Maui.
Okay.
Police department. Yeah. But I really enjoyed Kauai life. It's it's funny. You come here, then you find out you have relatives that you never knew you had.
It's amazing that you brought that up, because I moved here. My parents bought a place here in August of 65. It'll be 55 years next month up here in the homesteads. Mel might remember the old Yoder family sign up here. But when I went off to school, my first day of school was October 9th at Kapa'a High School, junior in high school. And that's where I soon found out about Gil Howley Day. But you know what saved me? There's a phys ed teacher there by the name of Grace Yoder. You ever remember the Kinks song, Lola? She talked like a woman. She walked like a woman, but talked like a man. Anyway, the kids weren't too sure if they really wanted to deal with Grace Yoder. To this day, I don't know if she's related to me or not, but Yoders are all related.
Wow.
He saved my Howley arse.
Yeah, we'll remember those days.
Yeah. Plus, I didn't back
where.
down. So anyway, yeah. Plus, I didn't back down. I was a nice guy. One of the nicest Howley guys I ever met.
Okay, there he is. Jimmy is coming in. There he is.
Aloha, Jimmy.
He's connecting to audio. There he is.
There I am.
All right. Well,
Aloha,
welcome, Jimmy. Welcome, Steve. And thank you all for joining us tonight for our District 15 candidate forum for the State House of Representatives. I don't think anyone has done a forum yet for the State House races, and it's very important races. So we're going to give it a shot. We did District 14 a couple nights ago, and we'll do you guys tonight in District 16 tomorrow night. So again, for all of you that are watching, now is the time to hit the share button, start a watch party, do whatever you got to do to get people to watch. Many of you, like I said earlier, have received their ballots. Many of you haven't voted yet. So tonight is just an opportunity for you all to learn about our candidates. So real quick on the format, we're going to start off with a 5-minute intro. and we randomly selected earlier today, Steve Yoder, you got the flip, so you will go first. You'll have 5 minutes to say whatever you want to say. Jimmy, you will follow with 5 minutes as well, and then we will start off with the questions. Now, I have a question for you folks. On the District 14 forum, we allowed 3 minutes from each of you for the answers. Would it be a problem to go down to 2 minutes for each of you, or do you prefer the 3?
2 is fine. Less is more.
Jimmy, what do you think?
I'm fine. I don't know how long it took. If you went through all the questions the other night, I'm not sure you got through all the questions.
Yeah, we didn't get to all the questions, and it probably even we'll have the same amount of questions because with the 3 minutes we ended up going a little past the 8 o'clock. So I got all night, so I don't really have a problem.
So I think 2 minutes is fine, Mel. But then there are some questions that may need a little more time than the hard 2 minutes.
Okay, I tell you what, we'll stick with the 3 minutes, and if you can do it in 2, do it in 2. I know not all the candidates didn't use all the 3 minutes for all the questions, so let's just stick to the 3 minutes. Our timekeeper is none other than Patsy Raposo. She is the official timekeeper. Any protest, any kind of disagreement will go directly to her, not me or Charlie. After 2 minutes, with 2 minutes left, you'll get this. With 1 minute left, you'll get this. And then when you're done, you'll get this. And I don't think I had to use the pause sign at all in the last one, so we'll see. With that, Charles?
Yes.
Are you ready? Any words of advice for these two fine gentlemen?
Let's get ready to rumble. No. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah, this is not a debate. I watched the mayor's debate last night on Oahu. Whoo, ouch, ouch. All right, timekeeper. Are you ready? She says you're ready, so let me get my cards in order. Steve, you start off. The time starts now.
Well, Mel, thank you very much. And Charlie, thank you so much for putting this together. I appreciate Jimmy being here, and I'm looking forward to the evening. My name is Steve Yoder. I'm the Republican candidate for the State Representative House District 15, which is Waialo Homesteads to Omel. And the reason why I'm running for office is I believe that Hawaii lacks voices that believe in limited government and providing pro-business solutions. I believe in a government of the people. I will engage people in my district. I will do more than sending out a direct mail flyer. I'll actually come back on the weekends and meet with people in a group meeting, much like what Mazie Hirono had done when she's Congressional District 2 Congress lady, because I'm interested in hearing what the people think. I will engage, I will listen, consider the things that they have to offer, those who live and work in the district. By the people, I'll meet on a regular basis with my constituency, listening to their ideas of governance, problem solving, and for the people, I will propose conservative legislation that's measured, tested, and proven, answering needs and solving problems. I believe that, once again, the government is not the answer. They're more or less the problem most of the time. They're overfunded and unaccountable. They really never solve a whole lot. And I believe that much can be done through private business. And those will be my way of governing as far as being a representative of District 15. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Here.
Mel, there you go.
We'll reset the clock. Betsy, are you ready? Jimmy, your time starts now.
Aloha, everyone. I'm James Konani Tokioka, and I want to thank you, Mel, for all you've throughout the years. I want to thank Charlie, and your show has just been an incredible resource for people to get to understand what's going on, some of the lapses in situations that are happening out there. We've referred people to your show, as you know, Mel and Charlie, because I think it's important for people on Kauai, especially not now during this pandemic, to understand what's going on in the community. So I thank you greatly, both of you, for what you're doing. And aloha to Patty, who's in the back, who's probably the best timekeeper in the state of Hawaii. Thank you for what you're doing. As many of you know, I've been in elected office now for 24 years. I was 10 years on the county council, which 4 I served with you, Mel. 14 years in the state legislature. And the reason I say that is because I think it's important to express and have people understand that don't know me, how important experience is, especially during a time like this. We have a worldwide pandemic going on, and to be able to, some people say they'll hit the ground running. I've been running for the last 24 years, and I pride myself and my office on being able to reach out to the community and help, and not only during the election time, but all year, whether it's neighborhood meetings, whether it's meetings via Zoom now with the pandemic happening, bringing resources to the community. I'll just name a few within the last few years. The gym at Kauai High School. And that gym has been a little frustrating for me because we put money in about 6 years ago to complete the gym. And then some of the administrators of the school had wanted to make changes. But we were always focused on getting a new gym through your alma mater, Mr. Raposo. And the gyms on Kauai are almost 80 years old. So they're in dire need of that. Getting the money this past budget, Senate President Kochi and I were able to put in the additional money to get that funding. So the construction is going to start in this fiscal year. So we're really, really pleased about that. Some of the things we did with GIAs to the community is the Filipino Cultural Center, a place for all. We're so grateful to Mr. Calypso for all his hard work. But that's a product of meeting with the community, understanding where needs are in the community. And Lester had built a great group. He got a lot of funding on his own from private funding sources, but we helped a lot with some of the construction money, and especially the thing that was important to me was a photovoltaic project to put on that structure where they're not going to be in the hole every month trying to pay an electric bill. So these are some of the things that we've done over the years. As you can see in the Lihui area, a lot of the concrete construction on the highway, we had a choice to go longer or to go longer in miles or to go the concrete route, which is it's going to be there for 50 to 70 years. We don't have to repave over it. We might have to fix patches, but that's all part of getting to know the system, to understand the system, to work with the Department of Transportation, to work with many agencies to get things done. And I pride myself on responding to constituents. Then when they call my office, I have a great team. Christine Wrighton is my office manager, and I know you met her before, Mel, and have used her resources. I'm proud of the work that we do, and I will continue to do that as we move forward if I'm fortunate enough to get reelected. So thank you very much for that opportunity, Mel and Charlie.
Thank you. All right, we will reset the clock and we will start again. Steve, you will start off the first question. You will have 3 minutes to respond, and same thing. You'll be warned at the 2 minute and the 1 minute warning. Timekeeper. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry. See, she's correcting me. You're gonna get a 1 minute warning, not a 2 minute warning. Okay, so the first question for Steve. What is your position on lifting the quarantine for incoming travelers to the state of Hawaii? And are you satisfied with the current policies as far as the quarantine in place?
Well, I'll answer the latter part of that. No, I'm not happy with the process of what's taking place as far as the quarantine. It's been a long-held medical belief that you don't quarantine the healthy with the sick. I believe that the quarantine should be lifted. There's a great emphasis on lives, which is great. We need to keep everybody as safe as we can. But within everything that you do in life, there's always an element of risk. And if you know what your risks are, if you need to stay at home for a mask, you can. But the state has not cared, in my opinion, for the livelihood. They've cared for the lives, but not for the livelihood. And the livelihood is encompassed within schools, reopening the schools. Two, why would big businesses be allowed to remain open, but small businesses couldn't? Why would large businesses be allowed to open when places of worship wouldn't? It's the very same people If they can implement the measures for safety in a big business situation, why can't they also for small business? Now, a lot of this is after the fact, but in the very beginning, many things were done wrong, and I believe that they're continuing to be done wrong. Many of these questions deal with taxing tourism, rental cars, vacation rentals, but how can you tax people unless you allow the people to come? People can be tested. I'll be heading off to Jacksonville, Florida in late August. We will be tested. We'll be tested before coming back. And people can travel and move about the country with certain safety measures. But the state is more concerned about lives than the livelihood. Thousands of businesses in this state have gone under, never to return. Some businesses just started operating in January. And they're paying for it, but they have no tourism. Governor Ige allowed the business that I'm in, Kauai Luxury Transportation, to reopen, but he didn't allow the tourists to come back. So I have nobody to take on tours. So I believe that we can reopen. We can do it efficiently, very intelligently, and we can still do it without heightening the risk of people and endangering people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll reset the clock. Jimmy, I'll reread the question. What is your position on lifting the quarantine for incoming travelers to the state of Hawaii? And are you satisfied with the current policies in place?
Am I satisfied with the policies? I think Hawaii has done an excellent job in keeping our kupuna and our families safe. Mayor Kawakami is a dear friend, as both of you know. And I think what he did, he acted boldly to keep all of us safe. I don't think any of us imagined us being in a pandemic like this, shutting down tourism. I come from the tourism industry. I spent most of my life in the tourism industry. So it pains me to see how many hotels are not open, how many employees are not working. But none of that was anybody in government's fault. Something, happened worldwide and we're paying for it now. So as far as when you compare, if I agree with the quarantine and face mask and all of that, I certainly do. Because if you can see some of the states throughout the country, like Florida and Texas and Phoenix, who people, whether it was their governor or their mayors went on and said, we don't need to wear face masks. It's okay to go out there. And their cases are spiking incredibly. So that's why Governor Ige had the difficult choice of seeing states around the country, including California, that were spiking really, really badly. And he didn't want those people to come into this state. So, of course, we don't want this island or this state to die an economic death. But this pandemic is real. I mean, nobody's doubting it's real. Maybe the strain is a little weaker because you don't see as many deaths in this second strain of second spike, whether it's the state or other states. So I agree with what Mayor Kawakami did, and he shut it down. Is it painful to see the people that are out of work? Yes, absolutely. And I deal with the calls every day, as you know. People calling my office to help connect with the government, and I will continue to do that.
No, sorry.
Oh. I was almost Paul, Mel. I was almost Paul. No worry.
One minute. Sorry.
That tells me that you were listening to what I was saying. So you didn't look deep, at the fact. So yes, I do agree. We need to find out how we can open up the state more safely. But I know for a fact the people that I talk to and surveys that were done, people want to be safe. They want to be healthy. And that's their number one priority. Economy is second, but we need to find safer ways to open up that so that we don't have to close down bars anymore. We don't have to close down churches. Now, churches are not being able to sing because people are getting sick in churches. And so all of those things we need to take into consideration as we move forward. So thank you for this opportunity to answer that question.
Thank you. I apologize again. And Patsy color-coded it for me so that I wouldn't make that stupid mistake. So I apologize. Charlie, you got the next question, Charlie?
Yes. So the icebreaker has been completed. So now I'm taking it out of sequence. We're going to start off with you, Jimmy, with this next question, and then followed by Steve. The question is, what is your definition of affordable housing? And what are your plans to deal with the homeless and houseless issues here on Kauai? Do you support allowing state lands to be used for affordable housing in partnership with local nonprofits?
Yes, to that last question, Charlie. What is my definition of affordable housing? Affordable housing to me is something that local people can afford. And I heard my friend Mel Raposo talk about a project in the Honolulu Triangle that units were selling at 700 and some odd thousand. That's not affordable. Okay. So what we did when I was on the county council was, developers wanted to develop properties, Kukui'ula being one of them, Kauai Lagoons being another one. And we worked with them to get affordable housing projects in the coffers and on land on Kauai. The courtyards at Waipole was one of them. Unfortunately, the county, when the deed expired with the county didn't purchase the property, but that's one project. Ele'elinane, the state put in $13 million for an affordable housing project in Ele'ele. When it comes to homeless, the mayor worked with us at the state to put in small homes near the Kauai Office of Economic I'm blanking
Opportunity. KEO.
KEO. Sorry. Thank you, Charlie. And that project is coming up right now. So, we are moving forward with projects like that. We have spoken with Dwayne Curiso, who did an incredible project here on Oahu. And we're looking at models like that, tiny homes where we can put our local people in who need housing and hopefully address some of the homeless issue as well. So that's what I will continue to focus on and have been focusing on for the past 24 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 7, same question to you, Steve. What is your definition of affordable housing, and what are your plans to do with the houseless and homeless issues here on Kauai? Do you support allowing state lands to be used for affordable housing in partnership with local nonprofits?
Okay, thank you. Well, the definition of affordable housing is easy. It's housing that you can afford to buy. Generally, a mortgage is 28 to 30% of your annual gross income. That's basically what most mortgage companies judge on. But we're ignoring the fact that the incredible high cost of living in Hawaii is what's causing us to not to be able to afford to buy a house. Also, it increases the cost of bringing material to Hawaii. And one of the first things I would do is, in regards to the Jones Act, is I would amend it to where products coming from the Pacific Rim don't go past Hawaii. They go all the way to Los Angeles. And then they have to be put on a ship that's registered in the United States, that's made in the United States, where 70% of the crew have to be American citizens. It's called the Jones Act, came out during the early 1920s. And then you reship it back again. It makes no sense. And the one thing that this administration did during Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico was they lifted the Jones Act. Otherwise, they'd still be trying to get products to Puerto Rico. Government regulation, and this is what I'm talking about, limited government. The more you straddle government with regulations that work against you, that's why people, when they go to the grocery store, I'd always talk to my tourists and I say, have you noticed how high the grocery stores are? The prices are in the grocery store. Oh yeah, it's really high here. I said, why is it? They say, well, because it's shipped. No, it's the method of shipping. It's the regulation that controls it. If you lower the cost of products being sent to Hawaii and open up our ports as international ports where products can actually come here directly, the Jones Act is one of the biggest factors that has hurt and increased the high cost of living. Most people don't realize it. And secondly, about affordable housing on state land. There's too many unknown factors there. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but are you going to own the land? Isn't our purpose to allow people to own their home, not to continue to rent, not to be subsidized by the government? The government will just keep you poor. The more that you allow yourself to grow. I remember talking to one young lady, and she depended on government assistance because she didn't want to pay taxes. I said, why don't you start making money and report it and get out from under all this government support? Because all the government programs will do is keep you poor. And you know what she did? She did that. I know this sounds anecdotal, but she came back to me and she thanked me. She said, Steve, I'm making more money. We want people to own homes. When someone owns their own home, Mel and Charlie, They take pride of ownership. They vote. They invest. They take more care about their neighborhood. We don't need to increase renters. I mean, I support doing something that helps people with lowering rentals, but it's not government. It's the private industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. I'm Steve. I mean, we're gonna go back to you, Steve, and we're gonna go. Your question is, how do you see the state's recovery of the fiscal crisis that has been created because of COVID in the way of tax increases, employee furloughs, and reduction of the workforce?
Well, this is an interesting question, because the question is, how do you see the state's recovery from the fiscal crisis? Are recovering, I imagine that they're talking about revenue coming in to the economy. You don't increase revenue to coming to the economy by taxing. Every time that we begin to tax people, we take money out of the pockets of people who earn it, thinking that the government can spend it better, when I know that the person who earns it could spend it far better. That's increasing tax revenue. Every time that our country, whether it be JFK in 1963, I think Lyndon Johnson followed through with the legislation. JFK proposed it. But when we lowered taxes in the early 60s, the revenue of government went up. Same thing happened during the Reagan administration. Same thing happened during the early days of the Bush administration. People know how to spend their money far better. So, and then if you start furloughing employees, how's that going to help things? And these questions, I mean, no offense, some of these questions I kind of cocked my head over. Reduction of the workforce, we need to get people back to work. That's one thing that's great about the present administration. We went to the lowest numbers of unemployment and highest wages. Wages increased. More blacks are being employed. More Hispanics are being employed. Why? Because we lowered the tax structure and we allowed businesses. I think we should sit down and ask the businesses, what can we do to help you guys hire more employees? What can we do to help you guys help raise wages? The government should not be involved with raising wages. It used to be $15 an hour. Now they're talking about $17 an hour. Hell's bells, why don't you make it $50 an hour and just be done with it? It takes $38 an hour for someone to live almost comfortably on this state. You've got to take away the things that hinder, that straddle business. People need to get put back to work, but you need to take away the things that hinder business, which the government is presently doing, in the one majority that's in the state house and the state senate. So let's reduce those regulations. Let's continue to lower taxes. We don't need to increase taxes. So that's my answer.
Thank you. We'll reset the clock. Jimmy, how do you see the state's recovery of the fiscal crisis that has been created because of COVID-19 in the way of tax increases, employee furloughs, reduction of the workforce?
Okay, so no, I'm not for a tax increase. Let's just keep that plain and simple. Employee furloughs, I voted for a budget when we were in special session that did not include employee furloughs and that did not include a reduction in the force. What it did include is vacant positions were just zeroed out. So whether, and Mel, you know this well, when there's vacant positions, we zeroed it out. We balanced the budget for this year. I'm very concerned about next year because now we're going to have a full year of decrease in revenues because the tourists are not here. And that next budget is going to be a critical one. So hopefully the economy, there's a virus, the economy opens up soon and we can get people coming back to Hawaii, because everybody talks about, you know, a new industry, what kind of new industries. We've tried that for years, but in this state, tourism is number one. And I cannot see in my lifetime, tourism not being number one. You know, I've always supported PMRF. I think for Kauai, it's an excellent opportunity for our kids to stay home and work in high paying jobs. So that's one sector on Kauai. PMRF employs close to 2,000 people with contractors and employees on the base. So that I will continue to support. But you know, everything else, like I said, the tax increase is a no. So that's the answer to that question for me now.
Thank you very much. Charlie.
Okay, Jimmy, we'll start off with you, followed by Steve on this next question, number 12. What are your thoughts about the current situations with young brothers? And would you entertain the possibility of a ferry system that would allow residents and especially farmers to transport their goods to the other islands?
Okay, so back in 2006-7, I believe, I voted to support the super ferry. There was a lot of controversy with the super ferry during that time. Right now, I don't think that that the sentiment has changed to that, and I can understand the reasoning. But I will say that if Young Brothers is not successful and they do shut down, then we need to look at another mode of transportation, and a ferry, may be that option. Because I've spoken to other carriers, and the comment that they give back to me is, why would we want to entertain running an operation that loses $13 million a year? We're not interested. So if that is the case and Young Brothers pulls out, we need to find a different mode of transportation, and that may be the answer. Some of the concern at the state legislature with bailing out Young Brothers is, if we did bail them out with the $25 million grant that they wanted, and if they weren't successful and they shut down after that, we've lost 25 million and we didn't get anything back. Is it going to be a burden for the local people? Absolutely. Are we coming up with plans? Absolutely. Going forward, but we just have to continue to dialogue with them. One of the biggest things that they said created losses for them is containers that weren't fully loaded, the less than container loads that is critical as far as they're concerned to their business. And we're trying to look at that. But when a measure was moving to support a less than container load operation, or not support a less than container load operation, the emails and the phone calls were coming in hot and heavy into my office. And there's a lot of farmers, there's a lot of people who have construction materials coming to Kauai, very, very concerned that it would affect their business as materials wouldn't be coming in as often. So, there's all those different sides to the story, but as far as whether I would support a ferry, if Young Brothers goes away, we need to look at other options, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. Steve, the same question. What are your thoughts about the current situation with Young Brothers? And would you entertain the possibility of a ferry system that would allow residents, especially farmers, to transport their goods to other islands?
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I see the two issues as being separate from each other. I don't see the ferry. It could help a little bit. It's very Menini. I did too support the ferry. I think it was a shame that we ever shut it down. We lost 300 jobs over it. We've been talking about jobs here. It creates jobs. It can be done safely, and it can be done environmentally sound. It once again gives people another option for traveling between the islands. But I don't see the correlation that much as far as it adding to or taking away what Young Brothers does. Once again, I go back to the Jones Act. If we allowed our ports to receive international goods, that would help the ports, whether it be on Maui, Oahu, Kauai, Big Island, and so on. The Jones Act has a lot to do with what's wrong with our economy and the government regulation. We could also fund, I guess we could do a guaranteed bailout of $25 million to Young Brothers, but it's like a kid who's a teenager. I don't want to minimize and detract from the good employees at Young Brothers. It's the leadership that I'm concerned about. But if a teenager squanders money, and I'm not accusing them of squandering money, I'm just using this merely as an example. But if money is misspent, you keep on giving them money. I believe that we need to have Young Brothers. I mean, we're an island state. We have to have commerce going between the islands. So I support the idea of helping them what we can financially, but with an audit. Where did you spend the money? Why did you spend the money that way? If the containers weren't loaded fully, why did you do that to yourself? A business has to run itself like a business. And you just can't simply think, well, if we screw up, we'll just go to the government. That seems to be the mode of things today, which I don't agree with. So it's, once again, it's limited government, pro-business solutions. Things can be done without the government. I don't need it. That's all I'm going to say.
You guys are easy. Thank you. All right, we'll reset the clock. For you, Steve, do you support granting the county's home rule authority to implement local taxes and/or surcharges such as rental car and visitor accommodations fees to create additional revenue streams to offset the deficits that are caused by COVID-19?
Well, if elected, and I'll answer that question after the governor opens it up. I mean, I'll answer it anyway, but it's kind of ridiculous. The question's ridiculous because we're not opening up the economy to allow tourists to come over here. What few are coming over here? And there are some that are coming over, but not enough to support our economy. But no, once again, I would not raise taxes. I would not raise regulations. I don't know when's the last time any of you gentlemen went out to rent a car. It tells you it's $23 a day, but by the time you're finished up with regulations, fees, and taxes, you're paying $60 instead of $23. And the more you okay, let me put it this way, that hopefully the viewers can relate it. Do you think you have a big boom of people going there and buying things? How do they increase their sales? They lower prices. They provide better service. So you don't increase revenue by taxing people. I mean, it's the most foreign thing I've ever heard of. Did I answer each and every question there, Charlie? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You did. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, Jimmy, do you support granting the counties the authority to implement local taxes and/or surcharges such as rental car and visitor accommodations fees to create additional revenue streams to offset the deficits that are caused by COVID-19?
Okay, so I will stick to the question, and I will say that granting the counties is the key part of the question, Mel. And I will say that, as a former council chair and county council member, that the legislature did grant the counties the ability to increase taxes. I think that the way we did it was the way that I would support, not just broadly letting the counties and every county do whatever they want as far as increase of taxes, but a window, because some of the counties, as you know, Mel, needed help in certain areas, and sometimes some of the taxes have sunsetted. So I don't see raising taxes. I see raising taxes as the last resort. In a pandemic like this, that would probably be the worst thing that we could do, is raise taxes. So I'll just end it at that. But more specifically, I think the question was granting the counties. So I would support doing it the way that we've done it in the past.
Thank you. Charlie?
Okay, number 9. We'll start with you, Jimmy, followed by Steve. Question number 9. Do you support the legalization of recreational marijuana and lowering of the possession of dangerous drugs, which is meth, cocaine, and heroin, from a felony to a misdemeanor?
I already voted on that many times, and the answer is no. Every single time it was no. Even reducing the amount of marijuana to 0.03 of an ounce, I voted no. So that's my answer.
Okay. And over to you, Steve. Do you support the legalization of recreational marijuana and lowering of the possession of dangerous drugs, meth, cocaine, and heroin, from a felony to a misdemeanor?
No, and no. The reason why I wouldn't approve of it being recreational, the purpose of enjoying alcohol is the taste, the enjoyment with food. The only purpose of a pot and marijuana is to get stoned. The last thing we need on our highways are more people who are stoned. I just don't agree with that. I don't say that would help our society at all. And lowering from a felony to a misdemeanor for crystal meth and heroin and cocaine, no way. I mean, there's very little. I'm not saying that we should go as extreme as Singapore is, but I wouldn't suggest trying to pull out pot or cocaine in Singapore. Both of you gentlemen know. Now, I say this rhetorically. Would you support this measure to lower from a felony to misdemeanor, being in law force? The last thing we need to do, in fact, it not only stops there, we need to have cases go to the courts quickly, and with conservative judges that are appointed, hopefully by a conservative governor that will render quick and swift judgment to these people and realize, make their head spin around like the girl from The Exorcist, Linda Blair, realize that, hey, it doesn't pay to commit crime on Kauai, nor in the state of Hawaii. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you. Mel?
We're whipping through these things, man. Jeez. All right. All right. Steve, as a representative of the Kauai people, what are your plans to ease traffic congestion here on Kauai? Erosion is also a concern as a lot of our highways are along the coast. Do you support the planning and development of a new Mauka highway to accommodate the increased traffic on Kauai?
Okay, well, that's a darn good question. Long before I was ever interested in politics, I remember talking to Jay, help me out with his last name, Councilman.
Faro.
Jay Faro, back in like 94, 95. I said, Jay, why don't we, because he's a council member, I said, why don't we just pave the power line trail? And spoke up to it from each community. And he always said, the county would never go for it. The state would never go for it. I think that's the answer, because here's what's going to happen. And Mel, you know this because I brought over the plans to you back in 2017. I brought in the big map of Kauai. May or may not remember, there's a few of us that gathered in your office. You're very kind to entertain us. But I had a map of Kauai, and I had the power line trail with the 2-lane road and spokes going up to it from each community. In doing so, we'll take away not only the load off the main highway, but we won't have to get into more traffic lights and medians and 4-lane highways. When I moved here in 1970, October 1970, we have basically the same infrastructure now that we did back in 70, except for we didn't have any stoplights. And we had 72,000 before mid-March of this year. But in order for our state to grow and for people to have their kids remain here and have jobs, we have to have the infrastructure. The question is, how is it going to be paid? Well, if Oahu can have H1, H2, H3, cannot Kauai have H4? Can we not employ revenue?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I think we lost him.
That's
his connection. His connection was.
You might want to text him, tell him that we lost his connection.
Well, we will go on to Jimmy, and then we'll allow when he comes back, or if he comes back, we'll allow him to finish up. What did he have? He had 1 minute and 50 seconds, so we'll restart his clock and he can finish. So Jimmy.
So I think what's important to know is, do I support the Mauka Road? Yes, I do. But how is that going to be paid for? I've done a lot of research on doing not the one that goes up through power line, but an upper road that eliminates traffic coming from the west side into Lihue and from the east side coming into Lihue. Not anything going up through power line, because maybe not in our lifetime, but the road in front of Cocoa Palms is going to have to be moved in because of global warming and sea level rise. A lot of these roads are going to be non-existent. So we certainly need to prepare for that. But I don't know if everybody knows this, probably not, but Kauai collects $8 million a year in their fuel tax. That's nothing. We put in projects, we put in bridges, we put in as I mentioned before, the concrete roads in Lihue. Those projects were over $180 million. And that was, fortunately for us, with Senate President Kochi and myself, we pride ourselves at trying to get as much as we can for Kauai. For the amount that we put in, we get way more back. So to complete a road like that, to do the EIS and everything involved in putting in an upper Mauka road, it's going to cost in the billions of dollars. And the federal government is not going to look at a project like that as a high priority, especially in a time like this. The closest we came to having a additional road bridge built over Wailua River was when Patsy Mink was in office. But some people in the business community didn't want the traffic passing Kapa'a town. So that's why that project didn't happen. But my opponent, when he was on earlier, he was talking about, yeah, I support that. But wait, how are we going to pay for it? Because he doesn't support increasing taxes, nor do I. And right now, we pay, the state tax for fuel is 16 cents. So if the voters and residents want more infrastructure, then we have to pay more taxes. And everybody that's calling me is telling me we don't want to pay more taxes. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Steve, I texted him. Apparently, he's having some internet issues. Steve did have 4 questions. Jimmy, you had 3 to start. So we'll just go ahead and give you one more question, Jimmy, so you can. Oh, yeah, he's back. He's back. Okay, hold on here.
Hi, Steve.
I'm back.
All right,
Okay.
man. Yeah, I noticed you were freezing up a little bit prior to you actually losing you. So you had 1 minute and 50 seconds left. So if you wanted to continue on the question regarding the Mauka Highway, we'll give it an opportunity. You'll have a minute and 10 seconds.
Okay, that sounds fine.
2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay, whatever you give me, I'll take it. I believe that we should create a road across this island. We're the only island that has no road around it. We're the only island that has no road across it. We need infrastructure. If we try and keep on taking out the main highway along through Kapa'a corridor and so on, here's what we're going to do. We're going to reduce tax revenue, because if COVID-19 hasn't gotten them, then the widening of the road will. The whole road could be built across the island without us even feeling it. It was 55 years ago today that Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California. And they built the whole thing. It didn't bother anybody. They just cut the ribbon and they came. We could do the same thing with building and improving the power line trail. It can be paid for through interstate money. Mel, I remember you telling me, and this is where I learned it in your office, that there's a lot of money that's left on the table that's not implemented, whether it be county money, state money, federal money. It can be done. And if we could do all this, it would also be creating jobs. If people are working on the thing, now we're increasing tax revenue instead of depleting it. We could also pay with it with a tollway. But right now, presently, if the road gets closed down because there's a traffic accident and there's a fatality involved, the road will close down for 6 hours going in both ways. And I don't care if you're having quintuplets, you ain't going to get to Wilcox. And we don't have the helicopter service that does the life support system anyway. So we need that road. And I'm very much in favor of it. It can be done if we want to. And as far as the bad weather up there, if we can put, if Florida can put an interstate through federal money from the tip of Florida through Key West across the ocean, if Louisiana can put a road across a lake for 16, 20 miles, then we can put one across up there in that land. It's majority of it's state land, very little of it's private land. So it can be done if we have the will to do it.
Already.
Okay,
Thank you.
we will reset the clock and we get the last question for the evening, Charlie.
Okay, we'll start with you first, Jimmy, on this last question, and followed by Steve. Number 4, the state relies heavily on tourism. What is your position on diversifying our economy as it relates to agriculture and military, and what will you do to achieve this?
I would say that I would continue to do what I've been doing, since I've been here at the legislature, supporting agriculture. As you folks know, there is a huge need for diversification. We had on Kauai on the west side seed corn companies, and I supported the work that they were doing and have been doing because they employ a lot of people, and there's technology jobs that are involved there. I know there was a lot of people that were concerned about the pesticides, and we've worked with the companies. The state has one of the companies even got fined from the federal government. But I don't think you throw the baby out with the bathwater. You still continue to help that sector of agriculture. I think we need to look at some of the niche farming. But the problem that we have with farming is when I go and read books to schools with young kids and older kids, I ask them, how many of you want to be farmers? And very few people raise their hands. Very few kids raise their hands because it's hard work. I think there are some groups on Kauai and statewide that are mentoring children younger, and not the schools, but actual farms, because they know that that's the future. So we need to continue to put resources in there. Johnny Gardinas is one of the guys that mentors kids on Kauai, and there was a state grant and a county grant that helped him bring the kids to the farm so that they can learn. So I would continue to do that because we need to start them when they're young, educating them and helping them understand how important a crop like taro. I've supported the Haraguchis, Lindsay, and her family out there from the time I was on the county council, because they're the largest taro farmers in the state of Hawaii. Continue to do that. I talked earlier about PMRF. I will continue to support PMRF and the good work that they do out there, because another source of high-paying jobs. If there's other industries that people have in mind, we certainly have that dialogue, but we've been trying to find other industries. Technology, we have some people that come here and they want to work here on Kauai, but distantly. That to me is not an industry, because that's just a few people that have the resources to have a house in seclusion here on Kauai and do some of their work there. But we haven't been able to hit that tipping point where it's a lot of distance learning and workforce jobs. So we'll continue to support that and look for other opportunities if there are some. But right now, we need to focus on getting our economy open. Maybe some niche markets will come in, but we need to get our economy back and rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Steve, last question. State relies heavily on tourism. What is your position on diversifying our economy as it relates to agriculture and the military, and what will you do to achieve this?
Okay, well, there's nothing that a politician can do to create diversification. There's nothing the government can do. The best thing they can do is get out of the way and let technology and innovation create jobs. Small businesses are what drive the economy, whether they employ a few people or a lot of people. Tourism will always be here with us as in my lifetime, because that's our great resource, much like what oil is to Texas, much like what agriculture is to California. My last name is Yoder. If you go to northern Indiana, southern Michigan, Ohio, Holmes County, that's where you have Yoder's most common name amongst the Amish and the Mennonite Pennsylvania Dutch people. They're farmers. I have never farmed myself, but all my family does. It takes great acreage to be able to do it. There's a lot of money investment with equipment. In fact, I've questioned them. I said, why don't you guys just quit and return and sell the equipment? But diversification is innovation, and we need to make sure that the county government and the state government does not stand in the way of people creating jobs. We look at the iPhone, look at the technology that we're using. I mean, the iPhone came along in 2007 as far as the smartphones, beginning of the smartphones. There's things out there that we haven't even dreamed of. They may make their way to the Hawaiian Islands, but right now, we need to not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. We need to support tourism. We need to allow people to come back to Kauai safely, and that's about it.
Okay. Thank you. Mel?
All righty. Well, thank you. And we will wrap it up with 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes for each of you. And Steve, you will go first. Our timekeeper is, wake up, hoy. Okay, she's up, she's up. It's a good thing you guys not using all your time, otherwise.
You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
Mel, don't forget to
let's take some more questions.
don't forget to let your the candidates know if they got a contact information that people can contact them directly.
Thank you, sir.
You can put it out there.
Okay, we will, you can use that as part of your 5 minutes, but I would highly encourage you to put that out there. And for your viewers, make sure you contact them if you got questions. So anyway, with that, timekeeper ready. Steve, your 5 minutes starts now.
Okay. Well, once again, aloha, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank Mel Raposo and Charlie for putting this together. I want to thank my representative, Jimmy Tokioka, for his talk and his discussion and the interchangement of ideas in the arena of conversation and argument. If I'm elected to office, I will do my best to represent each and every constituent. I will meet with you guys on a weekly basis from early January to the first week of May. I will come home, and my job will be to meet with you guys and let you know what I'm doing, how we can achieve answers and problem solving through limited government and allowing you guys to keep more of your money. When I was running for office 6 years ago, for the same office, State Representative, House District 15, one taxi guy, owner of a taxi company, came up to me and said, "Steve, what are you going to do for me?" I said, "I'm not going to do nothing for you." And he started blinking like a frog in a hailstorm. And I said, "I'll tell you one thing I'll do." I said, "What's that?" "When you earn money, I'm going to help you keep more of it than what they're presently allowing you to do." I says, "How do you like that?" I says, "I'll vote for you." Now, folks, we need to get back to running this government like a business. The government they don't take a look at making a profit because they don't have to. They're not accountable because they don't have to be. Every time we implemented a measure, we create a bureaucracy that seeks to be funded and will never be fired because they're not elected. We've got to limit the size of government. First, we're going to continue to have the problems with homeless, high cost of living. Kauai is not one of the top most expensive places in the country. We are number 50, or excuse me, we're in number 1, the most expensive place to live in the country. Why? It's because the present laws are being implemented to government right now. It's the concurrence of looking at government and depending upon government. And I'll end with this one little illustration. Back in 2009, during the Linda Lingle administration, Poley Holly was wiped out. Tour companies who would take people to Hyena, put them on a kayak and travel the coast, they could not pick them back up when they got to Poley Holly. They looked to the government. Linda Lingle says, "Well, we'll have to do a 2-year study. It's going to cost so many hundreds of thousands of dollars. Putting it back together again would be about $2.5 to $3 million. I may be off by a nickel or two." You know what they did? They did the very thing that Alex Tocqueville, who came from France in the early 1800s, because he was interested in the American experiment, the American dream. What led to American exceptionalism? He saw that people gathered together and get things done despite government. And you know what they did? They put Poley Holly back together again without the government studies, without the government intrusion. And so that's my philosophy. And folks, you can reach me at voteforsteveyoder@gmail.com. My website's still under construction, but by this weekend, I'll be ready to receive that donation. VoteYoder.com. P.O. Box 521 Lihue. And make out that check to friends of Steve Yoder. And I hope I'll have your vote in the primary. I hope that you'll vote Republican. We need to get away from one-party system. We certainly can't blame the Republican Party for the problems and ills that are facing our state. There's been a one-party system in this state basically since its inception. It began in 1954, the year I was born, with one-party government, and we need to have more voices. And I pray that you'll allow me to be that voice. I humbly ask for your vote. I thank you for the time listening, and I pray that you'll support me in every which way you can. Financially, to sign wave, to knock doors. So just reach out to me. Vote steveyoder@gmail.com. VoteYoder.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And we'll reset the clock. And Jimmy, ready, set, go.
Thank you, Mel and Charlie. I appreciate, as I've said before, all of the things that you do to connect people to what's happening in state government and just in everyday life on Kauai. As I've said in my introduction, I'm honored that I've been able to serve the people of Kauai, and for the past 14 years, District 15, for everything that you can imagine that government takes on. I can talk about a few things because I think what I'm comfortable with is reaching out to people and getting solutions. So let's talk about some of those things. Let's talk about the rose ring parakeets. Everybody knows how bad that situation is on Kauai. Have you heard them lately? No, you haven't. You've heard a small group of them. We were fortunate enough, Mayor Kawakami, when he was there, he put in some money. We supported it. Representative Nakamura followed it up with more money. The county put in $40,000, and we've had somebody eradicating these pests. I bring this up because these rose ring parakeets were devastating the agricultural community on Kauai. And one company has done an incredible job, took out 8,000 of these parakeets already. There's probably 6,000 or 7,000 more, but this just happened within a few months. I'm proud that I can connect the government with people like this to help us. My office has always been a resource for people on Kauai, including you, former council member Mel Raposo, and I'll continue to do that. Every single mayor that was in office, that has been in office since I was there, every single governor who has been in office since I was there, has been in my office to talk about how we can find solutions. And I will continue to use those networks and those solutions to do what is right for people on Kauai. One issue that we dealt with that people really didn't know about, and this was Senate President Kochi and myself, the airport, because of the runway issue and the weight of planes, the airport almost shut down. But we had a resource in the federal government. His name was Eddie Angeles. He was the administrator of Los Angeles International Airport. He was working under the Obama administration. We called Eddie, and he helped us get some waivers so that we didn't have to shut down the airport. The construction was completed, and now very few people knew about that. But that's the kind of resources that you make when you're in office, and I'm proud to have a network like that. I work great with Senate President Kochi, and we should be proud that he is the Senate President. I know you worked with him now, and you were on the county council with him. To have somebody from the smallest county like Kauai being the Senate President is important, and our relationship has gone back 25 years for Ron and I. So continuing to do that, continuing to work with the Kauai delegation. My opponent talked about the Republican Party and the Republican values. I would just say that part of the problem that we have with this pandemic, we can blame the Republican. We can blame President Trump for a lot of this issue that is creating, spikes all over the country. And I'll come out and say that. Everybody watches the news and watches what he says, and that is the leader of our country, and he's a Republican. And I'm surprised my opponent didn't talk about that, because he always talks about supporting the commander in chief. But I think in this pandemic, he was part of the problem. So I think we need to continue to try to focus on a vaccine as a country. But here we need to continue to follow Mayor Kawakami and his plan to keep the county safe. So once again, thank you very much to both of you. I've always enjoyed being here. And I will continue to be your eyes and ears for Kauai, because every day I wake up and I'm happy and I'm honored to do what I do. And the people of Kauai have given me the opportunity for 24 years, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. So thank you very much. Aloha. God bless you. My Facebook page is Friends of James Konani Tokioka. People can reach me that way. A lot of people have my cell number. And a lot of people call my office, and I'm not using that as a campaign, but any way you get me, you can get in touch with me. I pride myself on getting back to people, even if I know they're going to be upset. But that's my job, and I'll continue to do it, and I love it. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Righty, gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoyed the discussion a lot. I think a lot of the people did as well, based on the comments that we are seeing. Charlie, any comments, Charlie, before we send them on their way?
No, other than thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. For the viewers out there, as always, Mel and I, we try to bring everything to you. You folks make the decision. It's not us. We try to facilitate, and we had a very good comparison tonight. I really enjoyed it. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Mel. Another night down, one more night to go.
Yeah, one more night to go. Tomorrow night, we have District 16, Representative D. Morikawa and Challenger Anna Modez. I did want to make an announcement before we sign off, and you can stay with us, guys. Women in Need, we talked about this last night. Women in Need received a grant from the Kupa'a Kauai CARES Act for rent mortgage assistance and child care subsidy for those that were affected by the COVID pandemic. That phone number is 245-1966. Also, and this is really good information, hot off the press, Catholic Charities as well are accepting applications through August 15th. And they will provide assistance in registration fees for eligible Keiki on Kauai preschool to 12th grade. If you have any questions, please call Catholic Charities at 241-HOPE, H-O-P-E, 241-4673. And that is my good friend Triana Baclayon from Catholic Charities. So with that, again, thank you, gentlemen. We love you guys. Work hard. Good luck. And we'll be chatting with you guys again, probably heading into the general election. So until tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, on behalf of Charlie, myself, and our two guests tonight, take care. God bless. We love you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Well,
Hey, thank you very much.
Aloha.
Thank you.